I'm going to actually caveat that just for a moment here. I've been on a journey of transition from male to female for some time. I've just recently received my second letter from my counselor, so I will be undergoing the process in the next couple of weeks of having my fingerprints taken, and then going through the court to have my name legally changed as well as my fingerprints. My new name will be Stephanie Elise Freno.
Freno?
Freno, F-R-E-N-O. Freno.
Oh, Freno.
I'm selected today because I've been busy doing some other things recently, but I have recently written about a body wax that I recently had, so this is my selection for the day. As Aralyn announced that she would begin to wax my legs and asked me to bend my leg, I felt a sense of pride and happiness. My worry and anxiety of my clitoris become stiff, as well as having an embarrassing moment had passed. My decision of not rubbing one out prior to my appointment was good. My clitoris remained the entire time very placid and very soft. Throughout Aralyn waxing my private part, I saw in a vision what was exposed was my vagina. I felt and thought throughout this I was like any other female receiving her body wax to feel and to have a soft, radiant skin. I felt happy and content. There have been many events along my journey that seemed to be like mile markers or experiences that had to be faced and experienced. Experiences such as finally accepting the reason for many years my desire to wear panties is that I am female. Experiences such as presenting myself publicly as a female and wearing female clothes. Experiences such as a decision to begin seeking professional counseling and begin receiving that counseling. Experiences such as going to the women's restroom for the first time while presenting as a female. Experiences such as going to the salon to have my hair done for the first time. Experiences such as finally presenting myself for the very first time at work completely female. And also experiences of being on the stage for 2 straight years in the Vagina Monologues, which is sponsored by Safe Place of Austin. I've been involved with many a women's group here in Austin, one called Recon, which is a group for all women. In regards to receiving a body wax as a woman, as a female, there was an element of unpleasantness, of a past embarrassment, one that I had to face and one I felt I had to resolve. I have been asked from time to time, are you going to have the surgery? The question actually is often asked, and my response to the question is often, yes. However, I'm trying to take this one step at a time, one day at a time. It feels the answer the person is actually seeking is, how serious are you about being female? Often I feel the individual views of having a surgery is like a magic door that transforms a male into a female overnight. Many people crudely think of the surgery as having the dick cut off. There are countries, and it's in history, the punishment for sexual crimes is being castrated or having their dicks cut off. Without the penile tissue or scrotum, there's no tissue to form or reconstruct a vagina. This tissue is used and is inverted inside. Without the penile tissue or scrotum, this prevents these sensations. There was a movie that came out in 2016 entitled The Danish Girl. It is based on the true life of Liable, a trans woman who was considered to be the first person to undergo surgery. In the 1950s, Christine Jorgensen was the first military person to undergo sexual reassignment surgery, or otherwise known as SRS. In recent years, this SRS term has been changed to affirmation surgery. In 2005, Academy Actress winner Felicity Huffman portrayed Brie Osborne in Trans-America. This movie is about a conservative trans woman while on her journey to become female and learns that she has a son. A son here learns that during the movie, Bree is really his father, and that Bree is a transgender woman. There are other films about transgender women. These two, however, are films that I do recommend.
Gume.
Before I start this one, I kind of want to explain it because I'm not sure everybody knows about this app. There is an app, it's an online dating app, it's called Grindr. Raise your hand if you've ever, okay, let me explain it, only a couple of us in here have them know. So basically it's an online dating app, you get on there, you could either look for a date or like an actual relationship, but most people, a lot of people, it's really well known for just getting on there for sex, you want easy dick for the night. And it shows you a grid, and of the people that are closest, I think it's like the 100 people that are closest to you. Also on Grindr, looking for the same thing. So on the profile, you can post, what it is you're looking for, your weight, your height, just very descriptive. And there's a really terrible phrase that has been made popular, been coined on that app, and it's called no fats, no femmes. People just being very prejudiced, very racist on their preference, but their preferences are pretty racist and prejudiced. And so that's the title of this poem, and it's about that whole thing. It's called No Fats, No Femmes. Boxes upon boxes of pretty-eyed boys and burly bearded men. Torsos ripped like mountains, faces hidden like gems. Boxes upon boxes of sweaty, petty profiles demanding the best, even where they themselves fall short. Athletic, but you don't work out. Toned, but you got a gut. Negative, but you haven't been tested since 20 barebacks ago. Each box demanding the best, said a million different ways, but each one sharing this one phrase: no fats, no femmes. What you see isn't what you get, because what you have isn't what you're showing. Perfect angle, proper lighting in, you're looking like a stud. But beneath the filters and cropping, you're closer to a dud. At least that's how you see it, because that's what you've been told, that beauty is an image formed from a specific mold. Pecs like boulders, thighs like grass, ass so perky he'll barely last. Forget personality, they say. Fuck character, they add. A good dick will get you places. It's 1 + 1, do the math. He isn't worried about the thoughts in your head, just how good you give head. And that's all that matters, so you better make it count. No fats, no femmes. That's what it's about. And you do it oh so well. You fake it so you'll make it because you want to take it all the way. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but yours is only one repeated 1,000 times. Hypocrite. All for show, as if this really were a show, but nobody bought tickets to see you perform your charade. Fakes and phonies demanding what they can't repay. No fats, no femmes. White. But you're dark as the shade that I'm throwing. 29 for the 4th year in a row. Relationship, comma, right now. Each box demanding the best, said a million different ways, but each one of those sweaty, petty, bleached assholes sharing this one phrase: no fats, no femmes. So what? You're not tall as a tree, but thin as a branch. So what? Your skin has less cream, your hair some sugar. Why do you have to fight it? Oh, you have to let it be you. You have to do you. Do you, be you. Every tear and every stitch, every flaw and every inch. 5'3", proud to be it. They, them, theirs. Nothing's wrong with that. Pause. And still worthy of your love. No fats, no femmes? No fucking thanks.
Daniel and Rebecca.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Rebecca had to go teach. She's a music teacher.
I didn't even see that Rebecca was. Okay.
Yeah, she had the student go.
All right.
But she was fun, and we're lucky
Daniel!
that she wants to come back. And we're just lucky to have her back. I don't know why we get performance anxiety. You ever get performance anxiety when it's like you own this creation and you're going, oh my God, I hope they like it. My self-worth depends on it.
It's called Facebook.
And I'm over here contemplating yesterday and today when I decided I was going to come. I said, well, I wonder if they're gonna like me. Should I do the Mexican hillbilly thing? They want one of the Mexican hillbilly stories? Nah, I've got a new one, but I'll do it next one. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just make it up on the spot. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just freeform. I'll just go ahead and flow. Maybe I'll do that. But instead I've decided I'm going to keep it short. I haven't been able to come, so my poetry community has been Haiku and Micro Poetry International. And if y'all want to join up in our group, Tom, you're in it, I think. We're up to almost 16,000 members worldwide. And that's, I'm sorry, I haven't been here, but Tammy. So we're into some micro poetries. If I can read it. Just small poems. Insanity from a Bottle. A poem from a drunk, brilliant as it appears, may be insanity from a bottle. Tonight I saw you, a shooting star passing near. My wish, loving you. Let's see. Find some in English. One copper penny, insignificant to most, hope for the hungry. Here's a haibun. I wrote this yesterday. While wearing a suit at a barbecue joint with my gray beard in a group of tough-looking bandana-wearing badass guys, Batos, they walk in. I look up at them from my seat. They look at me and they say, "Hello, sir," and they get in line to order. I feel protected. I was once like them. And the haiku, or the haibun, is, time has made me gray, old tree in a young forest, I remain shaded. This one is for Yanti Shen. She's left us a year ago yesterday, and so I wrote this for Yanti, who is from Indonesia, and she was a wonderful poet. Like tired flowers, she fell to the earth. Years later, many flowers bloom from her earth where she returned. Love is coming around. It's that time of year. I send you a love poem. And so I send you a velvety flower, one that is your favorite color, the color that draws you. I send you a songbird, the song which brings you a smile, the song which is good morning and good night. I send you a sunrise where you rise as the sun, rain salutations upon your face. I send you an evening where the moon changes shapes from a swing to a wondrous orb, which you ride traveling around this old world. I send you rivers and oceans and seas where you are the fish swimming rapidly down the streams, deeply into the mysteries of the deep, where you are the dolphin playfully leaping arches. I send you the sky where you are the birds flying high above me, a sky complete with clouds, for your tears are raindrops, begging the earth for happiness to grow. I send you my heart, for you are the blood flowing within, my desire to be with you.
So there's a prologue, a story, and an epilogue. The prologue. Before I met my late husband, Alan, I thought I was falling in love with another man. Someone who was already in a committed relationship. I did tell each man about the other because we were all adults and there were no secrets. But after my third date with Alan, I was hooked. From that day forward, I made my choice, and though I had no regret then nor today, there is always a hint of melancholy in any leaving. This is the story of me ending that committed relationship by way of poem. I saw him yesterday. We walked, we talked, we shared, as we said nothing of any importance. How are you? I'm fine, and all is fine, and everything is fine. But we did not speak of things of any importance. I asked because I must know, how are you truly? He couldn't answer. So he said nothing that day of any importance. This is why I am the wife of another man. And if he had the chance, he would hesitate again until the decision was made for him, which I did for both of us, while he said nothing of any importance. I chose not him, and he knows that when I leave our walk, I will return to this other man, my husband, who is not him, and still he will say nothing of any importance. He gazes at the diamond on my left hand. I can hear his unasked question. Does she love him really? I've not the heart to hurt him with the truth, so I answer just as silently, yes, with all that I am. And we walk and we talk, but we say nothing ever that day of any importance. The epilogue is a little bit unexpected because that committed relationship of that first man was that he was a priest and he was considering leaving the priesthood, not because of me, he had been considering it for a long time. And as my husband was coming up to, he was days, well, I didn't know that he was days away, but he was going to be days away from passing away. And his family, who was Mormon, had been sending me all these books about how, I needed to help him, redeem his soul and all these things before he died. And I was feeling like I was failing as a wife to help my husband to die. And so I reached out to this priest and asked him to help me. And he sent me back this note. If Hook is as close to nature as I think he is, then he has experienced more of God's tiny glories than you and I ever will. Don't worry about his professing it. Our God, the God of Jesus, does not require confession. He only asks love of us. Did Hook love? Then he has known the God of love, the God of Jesus Christ. What Hook clearly doesn't believe in is the God that has been presented to him by religion in this day and age. And that's not his fault or my fault or your fault. It just is. But it's got nothing to do with his salvation or with his being welcomed into the arms of the one who made him, along with the rest of the amazing creation that Hook has spent his life crawling around in. Job 12:7. Now ask the beast to teach you and the birds to tell you, which of all these does not know that the hand of God has done this? Hook has had some very good teachers about the hand of God. Who are we to say that he has not been listening? I read that to my husband, and he told me to tell him thank you.
Brian.
Talk dirty to me. Got a great ass. Or in the words of St. George Carlin, shit, piss, funk, cut, mother, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Fuck is a great word. I utilize it often. There's a huge difference between fuck me and fuck you. But my potty mouth digresses. Here's a chapter from my book. It might be available still for sale here, which is fitting in that I took a shower today. It's been a fortnight. You're fucking filthy. We're baiting you today. I had gone out to LA whilst living out of a backpack to paint at an artist commune in an industrial park with my pal Matty. But he and his wife were apparently on the rocks, so after picking me up at the Long Beach airport, he said to me, slight change of plans. We're going to be crashing at Jay's studio for the next few days. Now, I had met Jay during my last visit to the City of Angels, or as I call it, the shitter of assholes. She was damn sexy, possibly the only woman I've ever met who could wear a pair of baggy overalls and make it look good. And I dug her vibe. And even if she wasn't always great at holding her liquor, she wasn't afraid of drugs, cigarettes, and knew how to work a table saw in a way that would make Bob Vila blush. Needless to say, I didn't complain about our shift in lodgings. One night during my stay, she even let me bypass the couch and we slept together in her water bed.
Okay.
Nothing naughty happened, but she was a wonderful anchor to throw my arm around as the mermaid-infested water undulated beneath us. I also can't complain that she wanted me bathed. I was, indeed, filthy. I had spent most of the month traveling around the country on some kind of bohemian fantasy field trip, and showers had been few and far between. Plus, I had spent the previous 3 days in LA topless and barefoot, drinking, smoking medicinal marijuana, snorting shitty blow, and painting in the parking lot with spray cans and blowtorches. When you can see the grime and blood on top of your tattooed body, you know that you've been marked up double-fold. And you rationally consider a good rinse. I don't want a shower, I said in a mock 4-year-old's voice. And then she started undressing and led me into the bathroom. Sweet baby Jesus, she looked good naked. So good that I suddenly started to feel self-conscious about my own physique. And under the water, we lathered each other up. It was appreciative, passionate, gorgeous, and goofy all at once. And there was also a bunch of kissing involved, but that's neither here nor there. She wasn't afraid to scrub every inch of my cock, and I gave her my best version of the Jack Nicholson smirk eyebrow and asked, "You know what you're doing, don't you?" "I have a boyfriend," she replied, smiling. "I can't cheat on him. I just wanted to see you wet and naked, and I like it." Toweled off, and I went back outside to paint. Some desires need to be left unrequited. You can crave the woman, and you can crave the canvas. You will undoubtedly fail with either at some point. But they are truly inspiring when bare.
Hope.
So this is kind of an offshoot from my funny stories. Sorry, it's like all I talk about these days. A while back, my 8-year-old daughter found me on the floor at my altar at 4 a.m. in the morning, tears pouring down my face. A series of events had triggered my fear of not being able to mother my children on my own in a way that I could be proud of. The constant knowledge that there is no one else to lean on is terrifying. But as I surrendered myself to explore the wave of that emotion, I heard the pitter-patter of feet coming from the other room and wondered whether to pull myself together out of my experience so as not to scare her. But having already gone too deep, I decided I had to go through the emotion in order to come out the other side safely. So as I poured myself out pleadingly to the dancing flame of my candle, I could feel my daughter's presence as she quietly shuffled up to me and placed herself devotedly by my side. Through breathwork and tears, I finally guided myself through to sweet release, with my head dropped back and a smile spreading playfully across my face. After bowing respectfully to the mystery of this transition, I turned to her and said, "I hope one day you'll learn to do this. You know, emotions are just tools like everything else. They're not our dictators. We merely need to let them have their voice and then allow them to pass through us like water. Remember the waves when we went to the ocean? Remember when I taught you my secret for whenever a wave feels too big? Just dive under. It can't touch you there. You strip away its power by going back to the source that created it." She squeezed my hand and nodded knowingly. Another time, after a particularly scary experience, I asked my daughter what she needed to feel better. She didn't miss a beat. "Can I take a bath in your bathtub? You know, like you do with the candle and the music and the bath crystals." Damn, this girl's got it. She's leapfrogging me. Of course, I gave her the full treatment, and she savored every second. Apricot facial scrub, lavender body wash, thick towel to wrap around her long wet hair, cocoa butter lotion massaged into her skin, closed eyes soaking in the sensual feel of it all. I wish we had all been taught as kids to soak in this kind of love, tenderness and affection. Wish we could go back and savor all the sensual moments we've missed in our lives, not rush through them, not even the scary ones. But instead, own the realness of each sensation without labeling it good or bad, just feeling it, embracing it, and letting it go. Then there's my son. Long and lanky, rough and tumble, preteen awkwardness, trying in his own brusque way to hug me as we topple precariously in the hammock. My neck tilted at an odd, jagged angle, his knee jabbing in my ribs like his sharp heels used to do when he was in my belly. Now squishing me under his new hefty weight as I struggle beneath to breathe. Recently, this same tough, prickly guy crawled into bed beside me in the middle of the night, and I felt his hand quietly seeking mine. Another time, all three of us fell asleep in my king-size bed watching Colbert, and I noticed his arm thrown protectively over my daughter, completing the circle by holding my hand on the other side. Once we were watching a scary movie at the Alamo, and he thrust his hands over my eyes as if to protect me. And I don't know if you can understand the effect this had on me, because he's always been sensitive. Not like the kind of sensitive he accuses me and my daughter of because we cry at movies and tell him how he hurts our feelings. But the kind of sensitive that sends him crawling under chairs when noises are too loud, or cigarette smoke is too close, or new people are abruptly thrust into his life. Every school presentation has been like walking the plank to his own death. His teachers and I ready for him to bolt, puke, or cry at any moment. I can't expect the helplessness I feel watching my baby boy disappear behind glassy, terrified eyes, hyperventilating, heart pounding like a frightened bunny. Last summer, I watched as he dissolved into slobbering tears and snot on my shirt when they had to fill a cavity. You see, my son hates the dentist. But this last time, we were ready. Loaded up with a phone with funny videos and headphones to cut off any social interaction. My daughter ready to offer moral support. Just as I started to recline his chair, he sat up straight, my stomach clenched, braced for the worst. But he looked at me steady out of his lean 12-year-old body and resolutely handed me the phone. I've got this. And then bravely eased back into the chair. That moment was a true turning point. I was filled with pride, but it was also tinged with a touch of loneliness. For it highlighted the fact that no matter how many people we love or who loves us, we are all ultimately the one captaining our own ship on this crazy topsy-turvy sea. I once laughingly told my kids that I'd find my way back to them, even if death were to take me, and reminded them that if anything ever did happen to me, to listen for a familiar rustle in the leaves or a funny-shaped cloud smiling down on them. And they responded, "Yeah, we know, Mommy." I was struck by their casual conviction, like I wasn't saying anything new. And once again, I wondered, who's teaching who?
Yay! Hello, everyone.
Hey, welcome.
Hey.
This is my first trip back to Austin Roulette in a year, so I'm very grateful to be back. This is something I scribbled down this morning at the Riverside McDonald's on the east side at 10:25 a.m., so I hope you enjoy it.
Great place to ride.
It is. This one is called Sulfuric. She craves the sweet sting of sulfur on her tongue tip when she lights a cigarette with a match. She delves into the flavor of an L&M Turkish blend because they were the cheapest squares for sale. He gets it. Something has her at attention, attached, yet deterred simultaneously. An attraction tagged to respect, trust, and loyalty wrenches her core so profoundly she cannot block their face from her dreams. or her visions upon waking. Recollections of nightmares blocked by prazosin. Heartache is a pulling, tearing, at times stabbing sensation she has grown accustomed to over the past 12 days. Nothing can make their face disappear from her mind. Not the medication, not the petit mal seizures, and certainly not the fact that she began her morning basking in their album from a discography dating back 13 years. She loathes washing dishes. Apparently, they hated the early 2000s trend of baby teas equally. She doesn't see the physical first. She notices a calm, albeit jovial soul coming out of the holidays last year, much like she had. Apart from a significant other, trying to navigate the footing of the next steps. They said, just for tonight. That warmth matched the sweet sulfur sting her tongue tip craves. Thank you.
It's nice to be back, and I didn't actually write something for today, but I have something that would be appropriate for today. Let's put it that way. Has anyone here ever had to listen to a friend complain about their love life?
Yeah.
Over and over about the same thing?
Yes.
Well, this goes out to you. And this wasn't even a friend. This was just somebody. This was somebody that used to show up at our poetry events with the same complaint. And I said to Tom, if I hear this one more time, he said, well, you need to write a la la song or a poem. I said, well, I'll do both. So I have a la la song, and I'll save that for another time, but I did write a poem. This person doesn't know I wrote it for them, but this is what it is called. Your love life is boring. Your love life is boring to me. Maybe to everyone. Who cares about your sweaty adventures? Wine, wine, wine. There you go again. You moan for a connection. You moan for sex. You moan and you roam. And you lie, and you cheat, and you deceive to get what you desire. You want to moan your sex into something called love, but it isn't working for you. So you whine, and you whine, and you whine. You study orgastic libraries of literature seeking this ultimate thrill, then seek to hunt down a target for your lusty desires. And sometimes your target outsmarts you. So you come back and you whine and you whine and you whine. Often you come home and you find an empty refrigerator and leftovers going spoiled. Yearning for this thing everyone calls love to fill your empty heart, this temple you call your body, has been worshipped, inspected, handled, bumped, banged, screwed, but you still don't understand why you are daydreaming through it all. So you whine, whine and whine. Whine some canyon is echoing your moans and reverberating your every thought. Teasing, tempting, torturing yourself. So you continue to bore me, bore us, bore the world with your pathetic sex life. So you whine and whine, and you want us to come and whine with you. But our sympathies are spent. You cannot find any peace, satisfaction. Can't get no. So you whine, and the demons laugh. Voices in your head want to scream through your lips to my ears, to my sympathies, to my patience, to disrupt my soul with your whining and crying. But there are lines which you cannot pass. Really? Who do you think cares about your boring, amorous agonies? Who cares to listen to your endless failings? Your love life is just so boring. At least to me. Maybe to everyone.
Aralyn.
Aralyn, yay!
Okay.
I'm cutting a longer piece to a shorter piece. Okay, did you know that in 2014 that there became more single adults living in America than married ones? Now, when I was in the old days, I was not the norm because I was single. But today's women are the norm because they're single. So it's a whole change of pace and a whole different way of looking at women and feminism. When I was in college, I remember thinking, when I didn't have a date on Saturday night, that I might be an old maid. Oh my God, that was a fate worse than death. And you know, it was like no one liked me. What was I going to do? And I was lucky because at 21, the boy next door asked me to get married. And I said yes, because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And after all, I was the girl next door. So I became the bride, and I wanted to create an entire sanctuary for my new husband. And the madmen, advertisers, told me exactly what I needed. I needed an upright vacuum cleaner with all the tools that could do the Venetian blinds and they call it something else now, and the baseboards. And I needed Tupperware. Something that, so every size of any kind of thing I had left over would go in that Tupperware. And, of course, ice cube trays were very important. I would don my apron, I would fix dinner, and he would come home and I would make a martini. And I would never forget the olives. I knew lots of people who got divorces, but I never thought that I would. But the time came where I was watching the women's liberation movement, I was reading Ms. Magazine, and it was apparent to me that being a wife, mother, and homemaker was not my role and not my calling in life. So I got a divorce. But it did not stop me from trying to find another true love, another soulmate. And I had the mistaken idea that it was about the other person, about the man that I was married to, not about the fact that the institution of marriage didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. I did all the reading of the books, I went to coaches, and I went to workshops and everything to see how to date, how to get a man, all that kind of stuff. And I had a list of what I wanted. I said, I want a guy that has a job, doesn't drink in excess, doesn't smoke, and won't hurt me. And the response I got was, oh my God, Aralyn, you're so picky, you're never going to... I was married for 9 years, and then I was single for 9 years. And at the end of that time period, I decided being single was definitely for me. I can't see here, definitely for me. I have on my Facebook page today that I am independently owned and operated. Now, but I'm here to tell you today that I have fallen in love. I have fallen in love with being single. I like my peace and quiet. I like my independence. I like my freedom. I like the way I sleep, how many covers I have, what the temperature is, and how I move and what I do. I like my own sleep style. I also don't like to share and compromise. Now, I know how to compromise because I've been in a lot of businesses and business meetings, but I don't like to compromise if I don't have to. And I don't want the drama or the stress. I don't want the arguments. I don't want the notes on the kitchen counter in the morning telling me something that I did wrong. I just want to be myself and be independently operated and done all that. I'm worried about the time. So, what I've had a good life. I've had lots of, men, fabulous men in my life. I've had great relationships, but I never wanted to marry him. I've had a great sex life, but I never wanted to be monogamous. So I think this being single is certainly my cup of tea. And every year, I send myself a dozen red roses. Yeah. And the card reads, "No one will ever love you as much as I do."
Wow.
Thank you for having me today, and I've really enjoyed every moment of everybody's talks today. So I want to tell you about 2 years ago this week, I woke up from a coma.
Oh, wow.
I had a heart transplant, and a lot of people ask me, well, why did you have a heart transplant? I was like, oh, well, I had cancer. And the chemo drug damaged my heart. So that was as a teenager, and then in my 30s, I needed a heart. So, but I want to back up and tell you a little bit about my transplant, and that is I had to get my transplant in Dallas because insurance wouldn't pay for it in Austin, insurance. So I lived with my sister for 2 years, and she has a dog, Lola. Lola is 200 pounds, and when she sits with her head about here. You can rest your arm on her. And she's like living with a small pony in your house. And with a big dog comes some unusual things that you have to take care of, like horse husbandry for this big dog, right? So my sister, her husband, and her son, they go out of town for a weekend, and I'm living in their house, and I'm on the transplant waiting list, just waiting. And Lola, by the way, has a special bed, like an orthopedic twin-size bed this dog sleeps on, right? Better than my bed. And she's sprawled out on her bed, and my brother-in-law, Bob, calls me into the bedroom, and he says, when we go out of town, I'm gonna need you to do something for Lola. I was like, what is that? I love dogs, I'll take care of them. So, well, big dogs have special needs, and she has a yeast infection. Oh. And I'm gonna need you to put this Vagisil on her vajayjay. Oh. And I'm like, no, you're kidding. She's like, no, she really needs it. So he goes, but before we leave out of town, I'm gonna need you to demonstrate this skill so that I can ensure that my dog will be taken care of. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. He said, no. He goes, here you go. Here's the Vagisil. He goes, get in there. And I'm like, and he's laughing his head off, and I'm like, oh God, this dog must really need my medical care. I have to do this, right? So he goes, no, Jen, you're not really getting in there. He goes, I'm gonna need you to get in there. So I demonstrate my skill. The dog has her medicine. They go out of town. 3 days later, I can't get the dog to spread eagle for me to get the Vagisil on her vajayjay. So I decide 2 things. 1, this task really requires a glove. And 2, I am gonna have to do reach arounds. So the dog is looking at me like, what are you doing? And I'm too weak, I can't get her to submit to me. So I'm running up behind her and I'm, and the dog is like, all right, let's do this. And I'm in my own personal hell. Sunday rolls around. My brother-in-law calls up and says, we're on our way back from our family trip and we'll be there shortly. So I just want you to know Lola's been really taken care of, and I've been putting that damn Vagisil on her vajayjay. And he goes, ha! He goes, you're still doing that? I'm like, what? He goes, that was a joke. He goes, she never really needed it. He goes, that's payback for 20 years ago when you paid the piano guys at Pete's Piano Bar to get me up on stage and embarrass me. I'm like, you are one vengeful motherfucker. So fast forward, I'm in a coma, it's day 4. And my family, my husband, who's here tonight, he is an amazing caregiver, and he was up at the hospital with me all 4 days, day and night, and they said, you know, Bob said, my brother-in-law said, you know, husband, go home, get some rest, and, you know, nothing's gonna happen. She's been in this coma, you know, I'll be here in the event that, you know, something does happen, I'll call you. Well, 2 a.m., I wake up from the coma. And they say, Bob, you're needed in here. She wants to talk to family. And he says, I gotta talk to her. Oh my God, what am I gonna say? I don't know what to say. He's so nervous. He comes in, he sits by my bedside. I have a vent down my throat. I can't talk. My arms are tied down so I don't pull the vent out. But I'm aware. I can't talk. I can blink. It's a terrifying prospect. That's for another story. And he sits down and he says, Jen, we all love you and we've been at your side. And I don't know what to say. We love you. We've been at your side. Your husband's been here all 4 days. And he goes, and Lola misses you. Thank you very much. Tom.
Daniel, come on. I'll go to the dark side first and then give you the happy ending. That was just too good.
Does that cost extra?
Tell it again. That was really good. Truth is the most powerful story of all.
It is. Every word is the truth. No embellishment.
Okay. Dark side. Eat dirt, dirt poor, dirt farmer, eat dirt. Dust Bowl politics gone with the wind, drought wars. That civil war in Syria. The farmers drift into the cities. Food insecurity turns to food riots. Wretched of the earth become refugees. Starvation in siege, women and children first. Cracked earth, Eritrea, Sudan. Poverty, no plants, no grasses, eat those locusts. Rain, as rare as food. Fourth world politics, tribal. Walking, carrying water, wells contaminated, every drop precious. First world, compassion fatigue. Factory farming, genetic mutations, Monsanto, glycophosphate breakfast cereals. We will eat everything. Crickets, frogs' legs, snails, chocolate-covered ants. Earth, a buffet, a banquet, a takeaway. We ate turkey on China. 40% will be thrown away. Let them eat cake. Leftovers of the world unite. Watch the Great British Bake Off. Watch Iron Chef. Take cookery lessons for what is left. Post-Holocaust, your food costs this earth. Now, what has Earth done for you recently? Plants and flowers for your use. Saxifraga called rock breaker. White blooms in an open cluster. Small white flowers found by your streams and lakes. Eupatorium perfoliatum. Bone-set flowers attracting bees, flies, wasps, and butterflies. Those dried leaves bandage splints for your broken bones. It's also a laxative, a tonic, and a fever reducer. Gallium, cradle herb, used in cheese production, bedding, and mattress stuffing. Legends say bed straw was used in Christ's manger. Alitris farinosa, white stargrass. This plant's roots treated colic in the 17th and 18th century. Colic root is also known as unicorn root. Prunella vulgaris, heal all or self-heal. This panacea was used in many folk remedies and today is still used in salves, and as a poultice to treat burns and wounds. Gaultheria procombens, eastern teaberry or wintergreen, which I am wearing, contains methyl salicylate aspirin. Oil of wintergreen is distilled from this plant. The leaves and oil have anti-inflammatory properties and are astringent tonics. Trifolium incarnatum, crimson clover or Italian clover, grown as a forage crop for cattle, livestock, and as a cover crop to enrich the soil, suppress the weeds, control diseases and pests, and roadside erosion control. Angelica atropurpurea, great Angelica. In folklore, a sovereign remedy for maladies, blood purifier, protection from evil spirits. Angelica is Latin for angel, because a monk was visited in his dreams by an angel who told him that plant would cure the plague. Verbena hastata, swamp verbena, or blue vervain. You know that English peasants in the 17th century hung vervain over their doorways to repel evil spirits. Jesus' wounds were dressed with vervain. It's still used in pagan love lotions. Hypericum perforatum, or St. John's worts. Herbal treatment in 2018 for your depression. The name Hypericum means over an apparition, because this plant too was used to ward off evil spirits. Lilium, Percandium, wood lily. The wood lily can be nearly all yellow. The Iroquois used the flower plants for love medicine.
All right. I would like for all the women who performed to come on stage, please.